get right to it, and I'm really pleased to introduce Mr. Jonathan Demme and Mr. Neil Young. I just kind of want to get started a little bit with you guys' collaboration. I mean, you guys have worked 3 times together. Neil, you're a director in your own right. If you guys want to talk about that a little bit.
Sure. The director. Well, okay. So the collaborative part. It's actually the 5th time we've collaborated. We've done 3 full-length music performance films. Although our new one, for those of you who saw it yesterday, Journeys, know it's kind of a hybrid. It's getting more and more into a documentary while still delivering, in my view, an amazing performance film. I asked Neil if he would consider writing a song for the movie Philadelphia, and bam, this tape came back, and we put it right on the movie. It was the title song, and that was what got us going. And then we did a little bit of a, I don't want to say begged, but I really requested the opportunity to do a video with Neil someday. And we wound up doing a 4-song live video that was called the Complex Session. So we got a taste of what it was like working together. Tak Fujimoto was the director of photography. It went really, really well. And then we were speaking, and I've loved Neil's work in every area. I love his film work. I love his stage work. I love his musical shows, but I also love something like Greendale, which is a whole new kind of amazing. I don't know if you all saw that or not. It's just a whole new kind of narrative performance kind of concert dimension. And then the film he made out of that was extraordinary. And because now I've worked with Neil Young and I have his phone number, I dare once in a while to call him up. So I called him up one day, and what's going on? And he told me that he was working on an album that had special significance. All his albums have significance to him, but this one had special significance. It was called Prairie Wind, and it was written in a mode where he had everybody knows, kind of like a medical challenge or what have you. And there's these songs, and I asked to hear them, and I heard some of them. And then we started talking about maybe we could do a whole movie around these songs. We talked about all kinds of things. Maybe we'd go up into the prairies of Canada and do crazy things. But it evolved more and more and more into this idea of making a film in Nashville. And we put our heads together and came up with a very detailed visual approach. Neil brought in Manuel, the great genius of costume design, and Manuel made a special costume for every one of the 24, 25 musicians that we had on stage. We calculated what the best backdrop would be, and we had our own huge, wonderful Grand Ole Opry style back. So this was a very designed, endless dialogue kind of. This dialogue is almost done, by the way. It's the longest answer I've ever heard or even rendered. So this was like we were like Siamese twins. Our brains were fused on this, and we went and they rehearsed, and we rehearsed how we were going to film it, and then we shot it 2 nights at the Ryman. It turned out really well. The film turned out well. We got a wonderful receipt. It's one of the most box office successful music movies that ever was made. We like that. And then when we got a chance when Neil took his next show on the road, which Prairie Wind was never taken on the road. That was only for the cameras. When he took his next show on the road, it was a very rich, very, very rich show. Very, as usual with Neil, very, very emotional, very, very cinematic, even though it's not being filmed yet, because of the way he moves, the way the characters he adapts when he sings. And it looked like a movie waiting to be shot. So we shot it, and we decided to go completely the other way. We didn't plan anything. We didn't talk about it. It was just like, can we shoot this? Okay. So Declan Quinn got a bunch of fabulous shooters together, and people shot kind of completely how they wanted to, and it was the antithesis of Heart of Gold. And we loved that because that means we're not repeating ourselves. So then finally, when this new show went on the road a couple of years ago, and which arguably, in a certain way, especially since he's alone on stage, singing like 10 great new songs that are very meaningful to him, plus some of his enduring songs. And he's singing it all alone, and he's bringing this new technological approach, this gigantic sound generated by him and his guitar and some of the technology that surrounds him. You know, it was obviously, again, a wonderful opportunity to make a film, and one that would be unlike the other two, because now, you know, we can't cut to the other musicians, we can only cut from Neil to Neil. And now, whereas the other films traded very strongly on Neil's relationship in the moment with the other musicians, this incredible contact that's going back and forth between everybody, now this was about the relationship between Neil and his songs, his narratives. And I knew it was going to be a good film, but I didn't, you know, I find it very, very powerful and very kind of inspiring and moving and stuff. So that brings us up to date on that one. Sorry. Yeah, anything to add?
Yeah. But no, Prairie Wind. We were trying to go back to where country music and where that all came from. And my heroes, my writing heroes, Hank Williams and the great country musicians, and more the church of country music and the soul of the whole country music movement from the 40s and the 50s and 60s, and how that was the basis for so much that's going on now. But just to pay tribute to the way that looked and the way it felt, had this respect for what they were doing, and what a great privilege it was to play at the Opry, and it was just such a great thing. And the respect was huge, and it was just, you know, you made it, and if you screwed up like Hank Williams screwed up and they kicked him out, you know, oh shit, you know, they kicked me out, you know. But that was, you know, that's because it was the biggest deal that was happening. So that was great, because in music at that time, the biggest deal that was happening had to do with music. It had to do with songwriting, had to do with actually being able to perform. There was an audience there, but it was going out on the radio. So that the whole basis of it was all so great, because it was all about what really the soul of music is, and how wonderful it is to hear these great artists, and so they had their community. So that's what we were shooting for. And I remember when we got Manuel, when I brought Manuel in.
That was great.
That was funny, because Jonathan, you know, he's a big-time director, and he's always calling the shots on everything he does.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
he's the boss. And Jonathan came in, and then we had. I introduced him to Manuel. I said, "Man, this is Manuel. He's our costume director. Is that what I called him? I don't know what. Yeah." And you were like, "Wow, I've never." He's like, "I'm not used to meeting my costume director or whatever. Just meeting him
That's
now."
funny. I don't remember that discussion.
Yeah, what was that? So anyway, we kept going. We made a good movie, and then a little while longer we made another one, just because I was playing and he didn't have a movie to do. And so we did another movie, and now we did this one, you know, which is pretty simple, but it's kind of like we did it. I think we did it. He sees it one way, and I kind of feel it another way, but it's still the same thing. So we're working together, because he's shooting this guy singing the songs that are all about things that matter to him, and the world around him, whatever. He's singing, you know, the guy's up there singing. Jonathan's shooting, and there's nothing else up there. There's just a wooden Indian and a couple of instruments and some old technology from 60 years ago. And plus one piece of technology from maybe 20 years ago with that is kind of somehow manages to make the entire room shake. So, you know, there's that thing we did that way that makes it so, since there's only one guitar, and I'm playing the guitar like it's an electric guitar, you know, and it has this distortion element to it, and the band is playing. It's suddenly like you're inside a band that's playing, but there's no band. You've been able to somehow magically zoom in on a live performance by a band, and you're only looking at one person, and you can't hear anything else. But we're in them. It's kind of like a fantastic voyage inside the guitar, you know. So I enjoyed that. That was very different. You got right inside it. There's something about the sound of it that is unique, and so that's what That's what I remember.
Anyway, let's go to the audience, and let's go to the filmmakers, and let's take questions from you guys.
One of my favorite films is Dead Man, and I think your score is a big, big part of that. And I was just wondering if you had any plans to do any more of that, because I love it.
Well, thanks. Really, you know, Dead Man and Journeys have the same approach instrumentally. It's just like one instrument. So, but the thing about Dead Man was that I did it as a in the kind of modeled after the old silent films where someone would play along with the movie in the theater. So I set up a bunch of monitors in a big warehouse space and projected the film onto all the monitors at once, and they were all around me, so I couldn't escape it. But I had all my instruments there. So we went through it in one day. We did the film 3 times, and without stopping. And I used the first half of the second take and the last half of the first take. But it was an interesting process.
Hi, Philadelphia. This is my favorite song of yours. I think it's haunting in a very unique way, and I'm curious how the song was constructed.
I saw the movie with no sound, and I was living my life, and I had some friends in my life who had AIDS. And so I wrote the song from the point of view of a person with AIDS, a gay guy with AIDS. And it just happened right away. It didn't take very long, and the melody may have been kind of sitting in my head for some reason. Then the lyrics just came out, and it was done. It took about half an hour.
Whatever.
Whatever. The movie took a year and a half.
I know. Oh, man.
The movie's a lot longer than the song, though.
No, it is, and the whole thing, the reason I went to Neil Young, dared to go to Neil Young, was because I wanted to start Philadelphia with a serious, no shit, giant guitar anthem from Neil Young to all you homophobic young men out there. Gays are cool, you know? And we edited the title sequence, the opening title sequence, to Southern Man. It's in that vein. I wanted the you know, the AIDS, the anti-homophobe version of Southern Man for our movie, just like at the mall. Just everybody relax now, you know, and you can open up here. So Neil sent back this heartbreaking song that he's bashed out in 30 minutes apparently, and
well,
you know,
I had to assume being a gay guy to do that.
Yes.
So only a half an hour is all I had.
So anyway, so we you know, I started. I'll be honest with you. You know, my wife and I went running out and got in the car. We were up in Maine with our kids and got in the car to listen to it. It's the only place you should really meet a song. And you know, like we had to pull over the side of the road because we were both like crying and stuff. And we back to New York and try out the song at the beginning. It was no anthem, but it was a brilliant song. You know, I just adored it. So we tried it out at the beginning because that's what the request had been for an opening song. And, you know, after hearing that song and having the experience of the song, then now here's this 2-hour movie that's trying to say the same damn thing that this song just said in 2.5 minutes. So the editor, Craig McKay, said, let's put this on the back and see what happens. And we had a very lovely ending, but when we had a nice piece of music back there, and we put it there at the back, and it brought everything home. And it was a way of kind of saying, in case you didn't get the message of this movie, here it is now. So that was really, really quite a thrilling, quite a thrilling thing. After that, I sent the same version of the movie with Southern Man at the front of it to Bruce Springsteen, who I had worked with a couple of times on videos, and I said, Bruce, you know, here's the thing, you know, and I shared with him what I just shared with you about, you know, wanting an anthem and stuff. And he goes like, okay, I'll take a look at it, you know. So then comes back, you know, within a week, comes back, the streets of Philadelphia are hard again, like this. And I said, Joanne, God, you know, we need the rock anthem. I don't know what to do anymore, you know. We got Neil bringing us home. And she said, you know, these artists trust your movie a lot more than you do. You know, I just stick the Springsteen at the front and shut up. You know, so that's kind of what happened there.
On behalf of everybody at Slamdance, and I mean filmmakers all over the world, really, I really want to thank you guys for coming to Slamdance.